Welcome back, everyone. And as I told that my today's talk is based on resitage. Resitage means resilience, how anyone, maybe a person or institute, cope up with the calamities, maybe from some illness or maybe from some sort of sadness. So that is known as resitage. And coping with calamities is part of life in Kachch. And during my posting at Kachch, I began to understand that how the inhabitants of Kachch region, especially in the rural areas, they have learned to adopt to many vagaries the nature occasionally imposed, including the drought cycle and periods of erratic rainfall. The 2001 earthquake, it has wreaked havoc all across the region, but since its people have learned to cope up with the disasters and the way they have come back to their normal lives, despite of being devastated, shows their resilience and optimistic approach towards life. Yeah. Before getting into the main topic of today's talk, which is based on the disasters faced by the museum, the Kachch Museum, I would like to give a brief and quick introduction about the Kachch Museum. Although you people have gone through the 12 minutes video, which is based on the life, history, and collection of Kachch Museum, who has the credit of being the oldest museum of Gujarat that was started as an art school in the year 1877. But I would like to highlight few important events which can be considered as the landmark, whereas the history of Kachch Museum Bhuj is concerned. So the museum started as an art school in year 1877, and it was the brainchild of Maharao Khingaji Rao III, who was the then Maharao of Kachch. At the extreme right, you can see the portrait of Khingaji Rao III, and year 1884, again
Dr. Avasi, your mic is on mute.
Oh, I'm extremely sorry. Now it's audible?
Yes, ma'am, it's audible. You can continue, ma'am.
I'm extremely sorry that I could not say, and I'm sorry, and I would like to restart. I said that coping with calamities is part of life in Kachch. And during my posting at Kachch Museum Bhuj since 2017, I started to understand that how the inhabitants of Kachch region, especially in the rural areas, they have learned to adopt to the many vagaries the nature occasionally imposed, including the drought cycle and the periods of erratic rainfall. The 2001 earthquake, it has wreaked havoc all across the region, but since its people have learned to cope up with the disasters and the way they have come back to their normal lives despite of being devastated, it all shows their resilience and optimistic attitude towards nature. Yeah. And before getting into the main topic, which is based on the disaster that has been faced by Kachch Museum Bhuj, I would like to give a brief and quick introduction about the museum, although you have gone through a 12-minute video film, which is based on the life, history, and collection of Kachch Museum Bhuj, but who has the credit of being the oldest museum of Gujarat. But there are few dates which can be considered as a landmark, whereas the life and history of Kachch Museum is concerned. So in year 1877, the museum was started as an art school, and it was the brainchild of King Rao III, who was the then Maharao of Kachch. At the extreme right, you can see the portrait of King Rao III. So again in year 1884, it again marked an important event in the history of museum when Maharao got married, and a craft exhibition was organized in order to celebrate the event. And after the termination of that particular exhibition, a separate museum building was required to display the entire collection. Therefore, on 14th November 1884, again, the foundation stone of the present building. Earlier, when it was being run as a school of art, it was being run on a separate building altogether. But in 1884, the foundation stone of the present building was laid by Sir James Ferguson. You can see the print of James Ferguson on the right. Who was the then governor of Bombay, and the museum was named after him. So earlier this museum was named as Ferguson Museum, but later on it got changed to Kachchh Museum Bhuj only after Indian independence. Yeah. On the left side, you can see the building of the previous building before earthquake of Kachchh Museum Bhuj, and in the right side, you can see how the collection got displayed. And museum completed its centenary in year 1977, and one more portion was added on to the original building, which came to be known as Shatabdi Bhavan. And currently the administrative section of the museum is being run in this particular section. So originally the museum was having two floors, the ground one and the first floor, and it was divided into 11 sections displaying the multidisciplinary collection of the museum. It is basically the art and archaeological museum. We do have decorative art items as well. So it was all displayed among the 11 sections. On 26 January 2001, it was the Black Friday for Kachch, when the entire nation was busy celebrating the 51st Republic Day of India. A disaster earthquake happened at 8:45 a.m. and which was lasted for almost 1.5 minutes, leaving everyone and everything shattered and ravaging. So many lives have been lost, and lots and lots of property got damaged. Here in this slide, you can see the damaged museum building on the extreme left, and on the right side, you can see the debris of Kachch Museum Bhuj, and the fellow who is standing there was about the then senior chemist, Mr. A.R. Shah, who was working as a senior chemist that time in Vadodara. Yeah. And once this disastrous earthquake happened, Kachch Museum Bhuj was no exception in terms of damage, like other monuments, sites, buildings, and palaces. And these photographs have been taken from the archives of the museum, where we can see the first floor has got totally collapsed, and the entire collection got damaged. Yeah, this is the slide of one building which is known as McMurdo's bungalow. It is located in Anjar. Anjar is 50 kilometers away from Bhuj, and these are the prints of the Captain James McMurdo's bungalow, who was the British resident. The left side painting depicts shows the outer exterior side of the building, and on the right side I have shown the frescoes which are displaying the scenes from the Ramayana. I have taken this picture just to tell that not only the Bhuj Museum, not only the other buildings which were in Bhuj got destroyed, but there were so many other buildings who also got destroyed because the earthquake was in the entire region. So it was the bungalow of a British resident, James McMurdo. James McMurdo was the person who was instrumental in establishing the British sovereignty into Kachch. And after independence, this particular building, it was converted into deputy collector's bungalow, deputy collector's office. So the right side of the right side print, it shows the beautiful frescoes depicting the scenes from the Ramayana. And I have just taken this picture only to show that what catastrophic effects occurred due to this natural calamity, and it was not only confined up to Bhuj. Yeah, this slide I have, in this slide I am showing that how the museum collection got badly affected by the earthquake. And since the first floor of the building got totally collapsed and the displayed objects got damaged, broken and buried into debris. And the right side print shows the photograph of the Hadri cannon, which was displayed in the museum. Now also it is a part of Kachchh Museum, but it again got badly damaged because of that earthquake. Yeah. So in this picture, I have tried to show that once all this had happened, earthquake got happened, the real story started after that. After learning about the earthquake, the headquarters of the Department of Museums in Baroda, and they tried to contact the staff of the Bhuj Museum, but telephone lines, they were disrupted, therefore communication could not be made. The staff of the Kachchh Museum, they were also trying to send the message through telephone, but since they failed, they used the police wireless communication to inform the headquarters about the status of the museum. And the government responded very swiftly to the rescue operation to safely retrieve the collection. And the director of Department of Museums, Government of Gujarat, they called an urgent meeting of officers at Baroda Museum and Picture Gallery, because that time the directorate was there in Baroda, and they have asked them to prepare for the rescue operation. And with the modest perception and experience of dealing with a disaster, they collected few items which included some portable equipment, lighting system, other materials, and all that. And here I have taken few pictures from the debris of the museum, how the collection got damaged. And since I have told time and again, the first floor got totally collapsed. The horizontal, vertical, and twisting of earthquake waves, they dilapidated the entire structure of the building. The heavy wooden structure, because that time the ceiling of the museum, it was a wooden structure, it totally got collapsed and wide opens the first floor of the building. And it did not only happen on 26 January 2001 only, but aftershocks also used to reoccur at frequent intervals, and they literally frightened the staff to carry out any kind of rescue operation in that museum building. And therefore the heavy earth movers were deployed by the government and other agencies to clear the debris. And the defense personnel, they also had the staff of the Department of Museum to carry out the work of clearing the debris and to take out the exhibit retrieval operation. And then a team of archaeologists, conservators, curators, technicians, and skilled laborers, they work for several days to isolate the collection from the debris and also from the other building of the museum. In the extreme left side, I have taken the picture of Sri Y.S. Rawat, who was the Directorate of Archaeology, Government of Gujarat that time. And when I joined Kachchh Museum Bhuj, that time Rawat sir was my director, and basically he is an archaeologist. Most of us must be knowing, the people who belong to this field must be knowing about Rawatji. And he was the man who was behind retrieving all this collection, and he made sure that whatever object got into debris, whether it got damaged or it was safe, it all got retrieved from the debris, and nothing has happened in terms of any loss ya kuch bhi. It all got retrieved. He made sure that every object should get retrieved from the debris. And once the objects got retrieved from the debris, storage was the second problem following the recovery. And there was no stable building which was available in the entire region, because the entire region was going through the same crisis. So there was no other building in the entire regions to safeguard the collection. And since these are the government museums, and this sort of casualty had happened all across the region, so the entire prashasana, the entire administration got involved in that. And the district magistrate, he was contacted with a request to provide at least some suitable structure to house the collection, to safeguard the collection. And the collector, he came up with the idea. He said that some containers can be made available for the collection, but the idea was declined by keeping the climatic conditions, safety, and that time whatever the situation was they're keeping in mind. So the entire idea was got rejected by the staff and the people. And the next option which was available was to shift the collection to some nearby museum. But again, the staff and the people of Kachch, they have rejected the idea. And since no other building in the nearby area or in the entire region was available, uh, in order to keep the collection safe, therefore, they decided, the museum authorities, they decided to retain the collection in the same building itself for the next 2 years. And during these times, so once they have uh, kept the collection in the same damaged building, in the meantime, there was one heritage building in Kachch, which is known as NANIBA PATHSHALA. And NANIBA PATHSHALA was the school of Western India of Braj Bhasha. It was the first school of Western India of Braj Bhasha. It was restored by the government, and the same uh, school was handed over to museum in order to house the collection, and that too for the temporary period till the time the museum building is not getting ready. So they have given this building to the museum, and the museum was immediately shifted to the uh, this Naniba Pathshala. So this is the outer view. On the left side, you can see the exterior, and in the right side, you can see the interior of the interior halls of the Naniba Pathshala. Yes. Once the storage was done, other necessary works, they were two going on in terms of collection and restoration of the museum building. And the restoration of the collection was going on, but the restoration of the museum building was of equally important, because the first floor structure got collapsed, and the government was too quick in terms of bringing the original thing back into shape, and therefore the collection of the museum got retrieved from debris. Conservation experts from National Museum of India, National Conservation Laboratory, Lucknow, and structural engineers from the National Council for Research in Cement and Building Material, New Delhi, they collectively worked to safeguard the rescue the collection, and they were instrumental in renovating the museum building as well. And one thing I would like to add, that once this building was getting restored, the earthquake resilient material, it has been used in the construction that will prevent the museum building from further damage with calamities like earthquake. Yeah. Immediately after the shifting the museum collection to the new place, the museum staff they have formed a team of conservators and association of indigenous craftsmen such as silversmiths, goldsmiths, members of ethnic embroiderers, brocade workers, etc. Here you can see on the left side, Mr. A.R. Shah, who was the then senior chemist of Kachch Museum, senior chemist at Baroda Museum and Picture Gallery. He's working on a textile, and below you can see that he's conducting some sort of workshop. So I have taken this picture from our archives because several conservation workshops, they were held to restore a large number of fragile objects, especially the textiles and other exhibits of the museum collection. In the left, in the right side, you can see the artists, the craftsmen, silversmiths, goldsmiths, ethnic embroiderers. They are working in order to get the things back in their, they were trying to get the things back in the original shape. And Mr. A.R. Shah, he literally did a tedious job in conservation of the objects. Yes. In this next slide, you can see these ladies who were staying nearby Kachchh Museum. They happily got agreed for the volunteer service to do the restoration of the textiles. And for that purpose, numerous workshops they got conducted. So here you can see on the left side, they are doing some sort of stitching work. And these pieces have got displayed in Kachchh Museum. So it is uh, simple yet so profound. Yeah. Um, In year 2006, the adjoining building of Alfred High School, which was constructed 4 years prior to Kachchh Museum, was restored and it was handed over to the museum. And authorities for the museum development activities by the government, the collection and office of the museum was immediately shifted to the new premises, and the building, they facilitated the staff transport and display of the museum collection in the original Kachchh Museum building. The large digital field data and digital photographs, they helped in the creation of the dioramas. The field contacts also helped in systematic classification of collection, and also to understand the materials and techniques deployed in the creation of these objects. And in the left side, you can see the picture of Sri Sati Sadashivan, and the man behind all this work. He was a man who literally worked very hard, burned the midnight oil, and to bring the museum into its original shape, and in creating the galleries and converting the Alfred High School building into a the additional galleries of Alfred High School building into the museum. So earlier he was working as a curator in Baroda Museum and Picture Gallery, and later he got transferred to Kachchh Museum Bhuj as a curator. So in the right side, you can see the carpenters, they are working, whereas the showcases and other things of the museum was concerned. Yeah, here you can also see this is the first floor of the museum. All the new showcases came into being. These are the carpenters who are working, and this is the first floor. Yeah. Once this earthquake happened, the whole collection of the museum got photographed, because it got the entire documentation was carried out, because all of us know that documentation is considered as the backbone of not only of museum but any other institution. Documentation is very much required. And before earthquake also, Kachchh Museum Bhuj is having a proper documentation in terms of collection, in terms of other objects as well. So the whole collection of the museum, it got photographed, documented and digitized before, during and even after earthquake. And Kachchh Museum Bhuj is having all these materials in the form of documents, in the form of photographs, CDs, and other things. So proper entries were made, registers were maintained, like location register, object registers, registers related with conservation, etc. And they are still there with us. Reports had been made, and the photograph here you see on the extreme right is of Shri Naresh Antani. Naresh ji was the then junior clerk at Kachchh Museum Bhuj, and there was one more senior clerk, Mr. Umesh Chadia. Unfortunately, I did not get the photograph of Mr. Umesh Chadia. Otherwise, I could have included it in my presentation. But both of them, they carried out the task, and it is very important to go for the documentation. And it is a very, not only a tedious job, but it requires a special skill, whereas museums are concerned. Yeah. And once this sorry, once this museum was completed. The renovated museum was reopened, and it was re-inaugurated and dedicated to the nation on 20th February 2008 by Shri Narendra Modi, the then Chief Minister of Gujarat. So here you can see on the left side, the Honorable Prime Minister is going for the ribbon cutting ceremony, and on the extreme right, you can see that he's going through the first floor section of the museum, and on the left, the man in white shirt, he's the photograph of Mr. Sadiq Sadashivan, who was the then curator. So uh, these are the slides which are related with the earthquake, but I would like to show something, since the topic of the presentation is based on the resilience, how we face the challenges. So I have taken this aspect of the museum also, which whatever challenges the Kachchh Museum Bhuj faced during COVID-19. And because of this COVID-19 pandemic, everyone knows that entire world was going and is still going through a lot of crisis, and the enormous scale of plight has created so much anxiety, stress, tensions, and of course feeling of uncertainty among every one of us. And again, the institutions, markets, cinema halls, gym, everything got shut for a temporary period. And in the same manner, museums too went off-site, and they were not physically accessible to the people. And like others, we too have faced so many adverse things in terms of museum management and collection, which I would like to share with the audience. Yes. The first challenge which we faced in terms of museum management was the shortage of the staff. So if I talk in general, every museum was facing the financial loss. So many people, especially the temporary staff and the freelancers, they have lost their jobs, especially in the case of private museums, and since museums were not generating the revenue, and the employees couldn't pay them off. So the employees were facing mental pressure when they had to work from home, the terror of corona and fear of losing the jobs. It literally took a toll on the mental health of the people. And we were also facing the same sort of things. But museums, we have faced the shortage of the staff, but given the museum area, the number of galleries and work, we were already having already running short of the museum staff, and further it was cut down to 50%. 50%, I'm not saying that half of the staff was freed from the museum. It was not the case. 50% in terms of attendance, that per day only 50% staff will come to the museum, and rest of the 50% will come on the very next day. So it was in terms of attendance, and the decision was taken by the government, and we had to abide by it. And one more thing I would like to say, that we are very thankful to the government that no staff had been, whether it was a obviously the permanent staff was there, but no other staff, whether they were the outsourced or the private ones, they had not been removed. So right now we have total 14 staff members, and during the COVID times we had to work with 7, just half of the total strength. And due to the shortage of the staff, the things started getting affected in terms of office work, cleanliness and collection, and the museum was not fully equipped with the full staff. The time has got doubled in terms of finishing the work. जो काम हमारा एक दिन में हो जाता था, वो काम हमारा फिर 2 दिन या 4 दिन उसमें लगने लगे. The second thing was shortage of stock and supplies. Yeah. The government institutes have different functioning in comparison to private institutes, and therefore we always need stationery, as all the things are there should be in black and white, and apart from it we were not getting the cleaning agents also, like certain chemicals for the cleaning which were prescribed by the government in their SOPs. We were not getting the sanitization material, mask, and even if we were getting them, the price got hyped due to the closure of the market. So this sort of challenges we were facing in terms of stock and supplies. Staff की समस्या तो थी ही. The third thing was the museum was closed, and during the initial days when COVID started getting spread, there was a lot of panic among people. They were under some sort of anxiety, some sort of fear, and we were also facing challenges in terms of cleanliness. And since museum remained open for the visitors till mid-March, and once it got closed, we got the entire museum sanitized, and the work was done by the Bhuj Nagar Palika. So the thanks goes to Bhuj Nagar Palika, because they had been kind enough as they did the sanitization in the indoors, outdoors, office areas, toilets, everywhere. They did they did the best work in terms of sanitization. So here I have taken the 3 pictures, although the pictures are of not good quality, but these are the pictures which we have taken during the of sanitization during COVID-19. Yeah. The fourth thing is health and hygiene. COVID-19 took a toll on the mental health of the people, and due to this, all the staff got tested for the COVID-19 in the museum premises, and till date, I take I feel very happy in telling that none of the staff member was ever tested positive, whereas COVID-19 is concerned. And after the testing got done, I got them vaccinated as well. So now everyone has taken the first and second dose of COVID vaccine. And for that, I literally had to persuade and educate them, because since everyone was not ready for taking the vaccination, but keeping this health and hygiene maintained, we all worked together for the we all were working together. So it was really a tedious job. Initially they were not even ready to go for the testing also. Once the testing got done, they have found negative, whereas the tests were concerned. After then, I literally had to persuade them to that they should go for the vaccination and all that, because initially most of the people, they were not even ready to get themselves vaccinated. So in the extreme left, I have taken the picture of one of my staff member. They are getting she's getting the vaccine and other. So keeping this health and hygiene maintained, we all work together for getting the desired results and to keep these infections at bay. Kachch Museum Bhuj bagged the first prize in government offices category under Swachh Bharat mission, which was organized by Bhuj Nagar Palika. And this is on the extreme right. This is the picture which has been, I'm receiving the certificate from Srimati Niba Bain, who is right now the Adhyaksh of Vidhan Sabha. So she was the one who gave me the certificate, and we have received this certificate in Swachhta ranking Vijeta, and in government offices we have secured the first prize. Yeah. We have also faced challenges in terms of museum collection. As everyone knows that Kachch Museum Bhuj is century-old museum, and we have a very rich collection of art and archaeology. And every museum, whether it's a government museum, whether it's a private, whether it's old or whether it's new, despite of this thing, they need conservation at some point of time, and we too periodically used to send our objects for conservation. And during this COVID-19, this thing took a back seat during COVID times, and we have really beautiful pieces which need conservation, but we couldn't send them because our conservation laboratory is at Baroda Museum and Picture Gallery, and every time we have to send our objects to the laboratory for conservation. Yeah. The next thing which we faced was stalled excavation. The challenge we faced in terms of collection was a stalled excavation. Excavation is something that helps in enhancing the collection of the museums, especially the archaeological museums, and Kachchh is too rich in terms of archaeology. And this work also got halted due to the pandemic. And yeah, this is the right side picture, Gujarat's oldest museum on your home screen. The third challenge we faced that museums, since everyone knows that museums had gone off-site and we came online, we started showcasing our collection through webinars. We were conducting virtual tours. So we had to become more technology friendly, and it was really a challenge as we had to, I'm talking about myself also, that I had to master myself in recent innovations of technology. A lot of research work got conducted. So these are also some of the limitations which we had faced during the COVID-19 times. And yeah, it says that every cloud has a silver lining. And since we were not able to send the objects for conservation, we started some sort of conservation at our level, of course, under the guidance of Dr. Yagnesh Dave. And the people who do not know Dr. Yagnesh, let me tell them that he's our senior chemist at Baroda Museum and Picture Gallery. And I not only took the advice of Dr. Yagnesh Dave, I also took the advice of Dr. N.R. Shah, who was my head of the department when I was studying museology way back in 2007. So he's basically a conservator. So we were taking the guidance over phone, we were writing emails, and we slowly started cleaning the objects, and we only touched those objects which we could touch. Otherwise, whereas textile, the paintings, etc. is concerned, we can't do it under the proper guidance, and conservator is very much required for the conservation of and restoration of those things. So you can see that the staff and myself got engaged in cleaning the objects of the museum, and we tried to reorganize the storage as well. Since the museum was closed for the public, I thought to keep the staff engaged and to maintain their morale high, I engaged them in various activities of their choice. They did the plantation, and we have always been doing from the whereas plantation is concerned, we have always been doing for the last 4 years. And I would like to tell that in the last 4 years, we have approximately planted more than 250 to 300 plants in our museum premises and outside as well. And coloring of the benches, etc., also got carried out. And the only thing is it looks bright and keep everyone in the very high spirit. And these are the things which has also got done. These are the pedestals which are located in the galleries, and it got painted by everything has been done by the staff. So showcases se milta julta color jo hai, has been done on the pedestals of which are there in the gallery. And we started reorganizing the collection, the galleries, and our head office, they also kept assigning us the tasks related to the galleries and stores. And as a result, we started changing the displays. Here you can see that we have come up with some new ideas, new display ideas to color the showcases, and the objects which were there in the showcases for donkey's years have got replaced by the new objects. So we have changed the objects. We have kept the objects which were there in the showcase to the store, got some new objects from the stores to the showcases, and the painting work of the showcases also got carried out in order to make the galleries more colorful, bright, lively, and to keep the morale high of the staff. And so this is this was the presentation which was based on the two disasters which Kachchh Museum has faced in the last 20 years, from one in 2001 and the other one in 2020. COVID thing has been faced by everyone. So I can't say that it is only us which has gone through the adverse times during COVID-19. But what I would like to say that no matter how we want to be prepared, there will always be some surprise. Life will throw some challenge from somewhere that we are really not fully prepared for. But we have a choice. We can either be consumed by it, become a victim, and make that problem larger than us and get defined by that problem. And the other thing is, we can turn it around into a platform for our growth, because there is a message, there is a lesson underneath every problem that we face. And we can make the worst situation of our life into a narrative of triumph, because the wisdom and the courage, it's all there within us. Thank you so much.
Make sure you like, share, and follow us at Museums of Gujarat on Facebook and YouTube. And remember to press the notification button on YouTube to be notified whenever we post a new video.